This is a podcast from soof.co.uk. Hello, I'm Patrick Downs. This is all about film, whether it be Blu-ray, DVD or streaming. This is Bring the Film. Dreamhorse is the true story of Dream Alliance, an unlikely racehorse bred by small-town bartender Jan Vokes. With very little money and no experience, Jan convinces her neighbours to chip in with their meager earnings to help raise Dream and compete with the racing elites.
If you do join, don't do it expecting to make money. Do it for the hoil. That's what this is all about.
You mean like the crack?
With respect, the hoil is not the same as the crack. The crack is a Gaelic term, whereas the hoil comes from the Brythonic branch of the Celtic languages and means a feeling of emotional motivation and energy.
Right.
I'll do it for the hoil. Of course I will.
Directed by Hugh Rosselin, starring Tony Collette, Damien Lewis, Owen Teale, Joanna Page and Sian Phillips. And our film correspondent Hayley Donaghy called up with Tony Collette, who plays Jan, about what it was about the story and the character of Jan that drew her in.
Everything about her made me want to do the movie. I mean, these people live in a very, very almost downtrodden community, you know. Their industries have been squashed and they live very humble lives, and she's looking for purpose and meaning and has a complete kind of out of the blue inspiration that she'll, you know, having had a history of showing budgies and whippets in the past with her father and loving that connection with her dad. And I think she overhears a story about a guy who owns a horse, like literally in a bar, just hears a story. And she's this hardworking woman. She's got a couple of jobs. She takes care of her parents. Her relationship's a bit stale. And she just wakes up and thinks, I need some joy. What am I going to do here? And decides to give it a crack. Just says, I'm going to breed a racehorse, which is, you know, kind of the equivalent of saying I'm going to fly to the moon. But with her determination and her passion and her ability to back herself to draw the rest of the community into the adventure, she manages to do just that. She breeds a racehorse, and this beautiful horse goes on to become such a symbol of hope for all of these people, and it's a really life-changing experience. So ultimately, it's a story of what would be considered to be an underdog coming up trumps and all the people that she works towards it with along the way. And it's just so joyous, so inspirational and uplifting. There's no way I could say no to it. I loved it.
Yeah, and it is for us watching it. Oh, wow. Damien Lewis, who has Welsh grandparents, I hear.
Yes, he does actually, yes. He still was very particular about getting his accent right. I was so intimidated by the accent. Oh, my God. The Welsh actors that I was working with were just so supportive, and I had a really, really great dialect coach that also worked a little with Damien as well.
Yeah, how challenging is that Welsh accent? And were there any kind of like choice phrases that help you get back into it?
Well, let's put it this way. I was like, this is so difficult. I'm going to let this whole country down. How do I break a limb and get out of this job? I just thought I was going to fail. And, you know, I got so comfortable with it by the end of the film that I thought, oh, can we please go back and just start again? I think I did an okay job. No one's abused me about it yet. You know, I have a dog. His name is Boomer. My son named him. So I ended up always saying, bugger off, Boomer, bugger off. And I still say it to this day if he licks me too much. It's just the most beautiful country and gorgeous, soulful people. It was such a special experience. It was just too short. I could have stayed there much longer. It was so unexpected. I'd never thought about spending time in Wales, and it just blew me away. Gorgeous place.
Yeah, what would you like to say to our Welsh listeners about how much you enjoyed your time in Wales, and any specifics like food or pubs or specific places?
I went to a whole slew of pubs. There's incredible food and just the landscape. Oh my God, endless beauty everywhere you turn. But I think it is the spirit of the people. There is such an incredible, undeniable spirit that they possess. It's no joke, and it's everywhere. It's very real. They were so welcoming and so supportive and so willing to share, you know, this authentic way of life that they still live there. It was just, I wish I could be there. There's a screening soon, and I know all of the people I worked with are going to be there, and I just said, I wish I could be there and share it with them. But I definitely plan on coming back again and again. I feel very at home there, and I'm so lucky to have had that experience.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they'd love to have you back. So yeah, Damien Lewis, you touched on him before, but yeah, what were kind of some of your fondest memories and moments, kind of just spending time together and getting to know Damien, because you hadn't worked together before?
No, I hadn't worked with him. He's hilarious. He's so quick-witted. He's cheeky. He's irreverent. He's a brilliant actor. We had a really, really fun time. He's the coolest.
I hear there was a lot of singing on set. What were you all singing on and off camera? And I've hear these 4-part harmonies going on. Who's doing which harmony?
There were a lot of singers. Well, everybody breaks into song in Wales all the time. That's just part of who they are. So yes, there was a lot of singing on and off camera. Well, it started off camera and it became on camera. And not only that, the composer started to write around some of the ditties that we came up with. So, some music that had been scored actually comes from us just improvising and mucking around on set. Isn't that wild?
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I know. Really great, really kind of free flowing and just lovely. So great.
And you, in preparation for the role and sort of through filming, what did you learn about kind of horse racing and the horse racing community that you'll take away from this?
I mean, there are some very, very passionate people in that field. I do know it's really for people who are affluent. Most people have hundreds of horses, which is why this story is so incredible. These people, Jan has one horse, and the fact that he goes on to succeed in the way that he does is just unbelievable. That's why it's so moving, because the odds are just so stacked against them and they prove everybody wrong.
Absolutely. And cinemas have been closed here for quite a while. So what are you most excited for, audiences, to finally see your film on the big screen?
Oh, look, some films you can watch on smaller screens, and some just feel like they're particularly meant to be not only seen on a big screen, but shared in a communal kind of way. And I think this film is literally for everyone. It doesn't exclude, my parents love it, my kids love it. It's for any age, because it is just about real people. It's real joy, and it is literally, truly uplifting. So the fact that people are allowed to go to the cinema, I'm really hoping they take advantage of this new kind of lease on life and get out there and enjoy it, because it will only make them feel great. It's like the perfect first experience, perfect first foray back into doing something like that. I mean, I love going to the cinema. We've been so lucky in Australia because we haven't been hit quite as hard as the rest of the world, both New Zealand and Australia being so far away. We've had very different experiences here, and life has been quite normal for quite some time. But for all of my friends and people I don't know, it's just the idea of, I saw some people going to a test kind of rave at a club. There were 3,000 people in, and I just bawled my eyes out, because I just can't imagine months and months, a year. It's just so long of having to be alone, just not connect with other people in the way that we need to as human animals,
Well,
he's pretty rough around the edges. He's definitely got something about him. It's spirit, character, like his own.
Directed by Hugh Rosselin, starring Toni Collette, Damien Lewis, Owen Teale, Joanna Page and Sian Phillips. Talking with Damien Lewis, who plays Howard, what was the first time you were aware of the story 5 years ago when you watched the documentary Dark Horse by chance on holiday in Norfolk?
Coincidentally, I had actually been in a cottage in Norfolk with some friends about 5 years ago. We were flicking through the telly on a Saturday night and came across a documentary called Dark Horse. And we sat and we watched it with tears welling up in our eyes. And we thought, if that isn't made into a film in the next 5 years, I don't know anything about the film industry.
So tell me more about the horse that's called Beau that plays Dream Alliance in the film, and how much Toni Collette adored him.
The horses are, Beau in particular, they went on a nationwide search for Beau, the horse company that we've used. But of course they had to find a horse that looked exactly like Dream Alliance. And he's the soppiest, calmest, loveliest, lazy horse. Tony's totally fell in love with him and said that has already asked for a price to take him back to Sydney.
And what about Toni and her amazing career?
Tony's a brilliant actress. We all know that. She's protean. She changes and shifts, and she's been in films which have become household names from way back, like Muriel's Wedding and Little Miss Sunshine, and then she's just had this huge hit with Hereditary, and she's amazingly found a niche she's sort of queen of the indie movie scene. You know, she's just obviously got good taste. She obviously just does films that appeal to her, and they're good movies, and she's always great.
What about the singing that took place on set and our love of singing?
We do sing. We do like to sing. You know, people like Stefan and Rhys and Owen a little bit, Di, they know a lot of the Welsh hymns that they grew up singing and some of the old Welsh folk tunes, and, you know, everyone's joining in. But, you know, anything from the Everly Brothers to Stereophonics to the Manics, they're all getting parcelled out into 3-part harmonies. We're all just having a crack at it. It's amazing. We're like a travelling choir.
Directed by Hugh Rosselin, starring Tony Collette, Damien Lewis, Owen Teale, Joanna Page and Sian Phillips. Angela is played by Joanna Page. Tell me more about reading the script for the first time and how you fell in love with it.
I read the script and just thought it was absolutely fantastic. I fell in love with it. I didn't know at the time that it was from a documentary, and I just loved the script and the characters, and it just had such heart to it. Such a lovely story, and I felt like I knew the people. Obviously, being from Wales, they were just people that I felt like I knew and had been in my life. And then I put myself on tape and then just sent it off, and then heard back, and they said yes, I think that's Angela.
And what about your character Angela and the relationship with her husband Howard?
Well, I play the character of Angela Davis, and I'm married to Howard, who had a racehorse previously, but it didn't go well, and so we lost a lot of money. And so Howard, it's his passion, it's something which he absolutely loves, but Angela has always said, no, never again. We're not getting into another syndicate. We're not doing it. We can't lose the house. We can't lose any more money. It's just something that's just not happening. And she's much more sort of straight and sort of holding the family together at that point. And it's something that she's just like, I know it's a dream, but it's just not happening. But Howard can't help himself. So he joins the syndicate, doesn't tell Angela anything about it. Angela then ends up finding out and is not happy at all, but says, you know, you're a grown man, you got to get on with it, but don't put our family in jeopardy again. And then eventually Angela gets one round and goes to see Dream, and just sees that it's something that Howard's so passionate for, and she doesn't want to stop that dream of his, and so she just lets him do it.
What was it like playing a real person for the first time and meeting the real Angela on set?
I didn't meet Angela before we started filming, but I watched her in the documentary, which was just fantastic. I've never played a real life person before, and to actually see them and hear them talking, and on my first day on set before starting, I just had this bit of Angela from the documentary which I was playing over and over and just looking at her all the time on my phone. But then afterwards, when we were filming Delilah, when we're all singing for the credits at the end, I met Angela and Howard and Jan and Brian then, and it was so exciting. I was quite starstruck, and because it was like, oh my gosh, it's the real life Angela. But she's so lovely. She's such a lovely one, and Howard is so lovely. I mean, they're such lovely people.
Tell me more about the film having something for everybody to enjoy.
I think the audiences, fingers crossed, will really love it, because after my dad reading the script and seeing the documentary and, you know, knowing all about the story, my dad was crying. And I think it's got everything. It's got characters which are funny and which are just so heartwarming and lovely, and that you feel already like you know them. And the story of Dream, you're just so there. And when I was reading the script and reading all of the race commentary, and I was just thinking, oh my gosh, come on, and you're really there, and you're really, really wanting it to happen, and for it to be such a fantastic story, and for him to win the national, it's just really lovely. So I think you'll come out laughing a lot at the characters, but also just feeling really warm inside as well.
Well, he's pretty rough around the edges. He's definitely got something about him. It's spirit, character. Like his own.
Owen Teale plays Brian, but tell me more about your character and his relationship with Jan, who's played by Tony Collette.
Well, his relationship with Jan, his wife, I think a lot of people will recognise. They've been together a long time, and it's very easy to put a blanket statement like happily married, but underneath that there's many dynamics. He has accepted certain things in his life, such as his arthritis and that his active part of life is coming to an end, and that he's very happy to be looked after by his wife.
What was it like working with Damien Lewis and the energy he brings to set?
Working with Damien has been such a joy for me because I'm a great fan of his work, and it's like we say about characters, you think of them as the people that you've seen them play. His enthusiasm for life, his openness, his care for everybody around him, knowing that the energy of a situation can only really take off if everybody is involved and everybody has got something beautiful to bring to it. And therefore, when you get that come together, and there's a lot of people do that. Iros on this, the director, Tony Collette. I've always tried to do that myself as well.
What's this about the singing of traditional Welsh songs on the set of Dreamhorse?
Tony would look to me and she'd say, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, these are hymns. We'll all have these now because we've been to school in Wales. We'll have these in common. Even like myself, I'm not a fluent Welsh speaker, but I will know the hymns and we'd sing Calan Lan or Ibo Bean Sydd Ffadlon, and then they would break into harmonies and people would just standing round, killing time.
If you do join, don't do it expecting to make money. Do it for the hoil. That's what this is all about.
You mean like the crag?
With respect, the hoil is not the same as the crack. The crack is a Gaelic term, whereas the hoil comes from the Brythonic branch of the Celtic languages and means a feeling of emotional motivation and energy.
I'll do it for the hoil. Of course I will.
Directed by Euros Lynn, starring Tony Collette, Damien Lewis, Owen Teale, Joanna Page and Sian Phillips. Maureen is played by Sian Phillips, but tell us more about this being a feel-good story.
It's a wonderful story. I mean, the simplest thing is to say it's a feel-good story, but in the best possible way. There's nothing sentimental or ordinary about it. It's just, reading it was pure joy. It's wonderful, and I'm sure the film will be like that. You know, the director, Iros, is a wonderful director, and he loves the story, and, you know, the cast is so much fun.
What was it like working with such a fantastic cast and having a laugh on set?
I mean, I know some of the actors. I've known them for 25 years, you know, and it's been, I have never laughed so much. It's wonderful. There's a lot of singing that goes on, impromptu singing, nothing to do with the film. But I think it helps the general spirit. The actors are wonderful characters in their own right. Actually, you could make a movie about them.
Euros Lynn directs, but what about this story and knowing about this story in Wales?
This is a story from my neck of the woods. I come from South Wales. I was brought up in the valleys. And when this story broke about 15 years ago, it was all across the news. And it's one of those stories that's really travelled into the popular consciousness in Wales. You know, it's the stuff of legend. The people who clubbed together, kept the horse on the allotment, and the horse goes on and becomes this incredible champion. It's one of those stories that parents tell their kids at bedtime. So I knew the story, and when I read the script and realised that Neil Mackay, the writer, had written something so heartwarming and honest and authentic, it felt like the project that I could put all my passion into.
What was it like meeting the real people who are represented in the film?
One of the first things that I did when I joined this project was to go and meet real Jan and Brian, Howard and Angela, and find out who they were. They got to meet me. Yeah, it was a two-way thing, really, because they got to audition me as much as I was getting to meet them. Because I'm responsible for bringing their story to life on the screen. Their selves are being represented on screen, so they wanted to make sure that I was the right guy to do that. And they're such brilliant characters, and they're so much fun to be with, and they're obviously so passionate still about this story. It was a real honour to get to bring their story to life, and it's been fantastic to have their involvement continue during the shoot, because they came out to the shoot, they spent some time with us, they got to meet the actors, so they were with us all the way through the journey, and in the final post-credit scene of the film, they get to join in with the cast in this crazy karaoke breaking down the fourth wall type moment where you get a sense of everybody in this journey together, which is one of the themes at the heart of the film.
And what do you hope that audiences will take away from watching Dreamhorse?
I really hope, more than anything, that an audience will just sit down and enjoy this film. A great piece of entertainment, that they'll leave the cinemas feeling that they've had a really great ride for the last hour and three quarters. It's a film about hope more than anything else, about how when we as human beings come together and work as a team, you can do something that's really good. It's not about making money, it's not about winning trophies and prizes, it's about the act of coming together and doing something good.
Well, he's pretty rough around the edges. He's definitely got something about him. It's spirit, character. like his own.
Dreamhorse is out now, certificate PG. And with that, thanks for checking me out on the Bring the Film podcast today. I'm Patrick Downs, and you can keep in touch across Twitter at I'm Patrick Downs, also on Instagram or facebook.com/officialpoptart. And there's also the website soof.co.uk. This is a podcast from soof.co.uk.